Meet John LeBoutillier, who lives in a magnificent Palladian-style villa in Old Westbury, Long Island, that used to be his great-grandmother, Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney's studio.
My mother was Gertrude's oldest grandchild and loved Gertrude, and she always loved this studio. When we were kids, we'd come over here to swim in the pool, and it was so exotic. And so when my father died in 1979, my mother said, I'm going to sell your father's house and see if we can't live in the studio. We ultimately converted it into a house without destroying this. This studio is the way it was. And it has this northern-facing skylight that artists back then needed for the right light to paint or sculpt. So this was the working studio for 20 years, say, and the pieces would be sculpted in here by Gertrude and assistants, lowered through the floor, put on a cart down in the cellar with a pony pulling it down a tunnel. And when we came here in 1982, we found a lot of the molds just buried in pachysandra out there. So we pulled some out and have them in the cellar. That piece ended up back here in the cellar from the 19-teens till 2 years ago when the Norton Museum of Art said we want to put that in the show they did. We think that is her entrant into a contest in Ireland to build a Lusitania memorial. So we're proud to have it, all cleaned up and repaired. On the walls, and by the way, the shelves are built right into the wall, and they're able to hold heavy maquettes. So we have 8 maquettes on here by Gertrude. Up there on the wall, the statue she made of a guy named Captain Guardabassi during the war, and Captain Guardabassi and Gertrude were lovers, and he painted a portrait of her, which we have in the guest room. That room in the original studio was not a bedroom. It was called the reception room. Mom said, we're going to make that room into our guest bedroom. And she had a painting by her stepfather of Gertrude's bedroom in the house in Paris, which was her studio. And so we took it out of storage and recreated the room. So if anybody's lucky enough to be a guest, they are sleeping in Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney's bed. The painting behind me is Gertrude's oldest child, Flora Whitney, painted in Howard Gardner Cushing's house. And Howard was 6 years older than Gertrude, and they were great friends, and maybe more. Definitely he was her mentor in art. We have to remember, Wendy, which you know, when Gertrude gets married in 1896, there were no women artists out there professionally making art. Gertrude is a pioneer, and Howard Cushing is the one who encouraged her. By the way, that thing was painted, we think, around 1910 or 11, this portrait. And the studio's in planning stages. And so Gertrude asks 3 contemporary artists, friends of hers, Howard Cushing to do this unbelievable staircase mural that's 2 stories, Robert Chandler, who's a great friend of hers, does the room upstairs and the bathroom, and it has a sunken bathtub. Everything in the studio, we tried to keep it. So the same faucets, the same mechanism in the toilet, and around it is this fantastic aquatic mural that Chandler did and put up. And I like to say about the sunken bathtub, if it could talk, it would tell some great stories. Because the Whitneys had big parties here, especially in the 30s. Starting in the mid-1980s when we moved in here, Alexandra Cushing Howard, who we've all known out here forever, started coming over here asking my mother if she could come and photograph the murals done by her great-grandfather. And a few years ago, she came to my sister and to me and said, could I buy those murals? And we said yes, but you got to pay for the removal, and you have to find some company to make an exact duplicate, which frankly is so fantastically accurate that I sometimes don't tell people it's not the real thing.
This is really a love story. It's a legacy story. It's a story of renovating a very historic, beautiful space into a family home. And it's cozy and it's vibrant, but it's still honoring the spirit of Gertrude Vanderbilt Whitney.
Good girl, Pamela.